You know how I start every video with, hey guys, it's Olivie Blake, and this is me not writing? I think it'd be funny if we started with, hey guys, this is Little Chmura, and this is me not drawing.
Hey guys, this is Little Chmura, and this is me not drawing?
Yeah!
Okay.
Wait, let me see the sleeves. I want to see the sleeves.
Look at those.
Oh my god!
They're moving!
Those are incredible.
Yeah, I know. I just saw this dress and it was like, I don't know if I have an event to attend that it would be suitable for, but I needed this dress.
You did. It was a good call. Okay, I guess I can give a little bit more of an introduction. I mean, I think that everybody who usually watches this, all the, dozens of people who usually watch this are aware of who Little Chmura is. But I guess I will give the introduction that this is my beloved illustrator and friend. We're going on 4 years, I think, of collaboration. Well, maybe we've known each other for 4 years, but I think maybe 3 years of collaboration.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Which is wild. Little Chmura read clean, and then she did, would you call it a drawing? No, it's an illustration.
Hard to tell, really, because it's digital art, so it's mixed media, basically.
We're going to totally go down, memory lane. I'm probably going to put all the links to all your, all the stuff we've done together. So, yeah.
Embarrassing, because they are not really that great.
No, that's a lie. Everyone's going to tell you that's a lie. Everyone tell her that's a lie. I did want to start with a little bit, if you wanted to tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now, because I have definitely been putting a lot of those recent illustrations in my stories and not explaining anything, just sort of shrieking. So if you want to talk a little bit about Clara and the Devil and tell everyone what that is.
All right then. So Clara is a lovely lady who lives in a small town somewhere in the United States, I guess. But it can be whatever you wish for. The place of a small town. You can fill the blanks, as Olivie writes in the story. And basically, I've been working on your story, Clara and the Devil. I think it's a very interesting story because mostly people think that when women create things, they usually focus on the romance aspect. However, in this story, you've got this romantic or rather lustful tension. However, the main point is bigger than that. It's like she is more intrigued about the power aspect of life and how to command the world and not beg for respect. So this is who Clara is, basically. She's just with big ambitions. And I fell in love with this character because she is someone, I think everyone has this part of themselves inside. That we have that ego inside of us that we have to sometimes temper because people wouldn't appreciate our being too confident about ourselves. So I think this is something that I find quite relatable, and I think many people would find that relatable about her. And it's intriguing in the sense that it's like a coming of age story, but not when she's like 17 and oh my god, I'm here to conquer the world. But more of when you're basically a young adult and you face different issues in your life than when you're a teenager. And I think those stories are not necessarily as often told as they should be. And so this is Clara and the Devil, and I've been drawing Clara and the Devil, and Devil is very handsome, and that's about
He is very handsome. He's so handsome. Do you use models when you draw, or is this all just from your head?
It's kind of a Frankenstein project because I usually search for certain features in models that I think that would translate the character of the character of the story would be translated well through these features. So it's not necessarily a one model, but like a couple of people in one that I find that would work best for the person you create.
You're making monsters. It's perfect. We're going to get right in because there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, that I want you to be able to talk about. But one of my favorite things that you have ever said, and there's so many things that you've said that are so brilliant. But I specifically want to talk about how we had a conversation on the Original Characters podcast, which came out last week. Yeah, last week. And you were talking about how there's a difference between feeling like you're producing art and feeling like you're creating art. So do you want to talk a little bit more about what that difference means to you?
I think many people who create things for internet, for mostly internet audiences, they first are very motivated by the feedback they receive from people. So at least in my experience, it was that I was making things, and I was receiving this feedback, this attention, that I was just living off this high of people appreciating me via my art, and it was amazing. And I don't really like how it developed into that I was setting up a certain amount of time, like 4 hours for a drawing, and regardless of whether I liked it or not, I would publish it, because I knew that I need to publish it on Friday or on any other day, because people are waiting for it. And I was not really happy with the results, and I was feeling like I'm stagnating as an artist and not developing my skills. And it's so stupid to be like that, because producing art has no value. You can buy things that are produced in IKEA. You don't go an artist to see things that are copy-pasted from things that you already seen before. So yeah. Sorry about this, right?
No, this is perfect. I love this, because I think it's really common, especially for people who start in fandom. It's just like, for sure there's an audience for that. They're kind of building into this audience that already exists. So you do feel a lot of validation because you've created something, it made people happy, now that makes you happy, and it becomes this cycle. And sometimes that's a good cycle, and sometimes not. So what do you think, when would you say you realized that you needed to work on your actual art?
I think it happened like maybe 2 years ago, when I was setting up my Patreon page. I was having this schedule that was very strict, and I was following the schedule, and I felt like this type of restriction that I imposed on myself made me very tensed and stressed all the time, and I didn't really like how the things I was making looked like. And my mom has this type of habit that she usually calls me whenever I post something and gives me her feedback. Her constructive criticism.
Oh my God.
She always tell me, I don't like her, this is going. What is that? Magda, what are you doing? and it's not very nice, honestly. It's very heartbreaking, really, when you put so much time into something, and you really try your best, because you don't sit for 4 hours and think, I will just draw a shit and that's all, thank you so much.
No. Yes, can confirm that's not what I do when I sit down and I'm just gonna write something crappy and post it.
Yeah, good, thank you. Mwah. Even at the end, when you see the finished product or creation, that however you want to distinct that thing, you see that it doesn't look like you want it to, or how you meant for it to be. So when you receive that call later with detailed description of what went wrong, it kind of give you this spiral into darkness. And this is when I decided to tell my mom, stop calling me.
Good. That's a good first step.
Yeah. So this is why I don't need people commenting under my drawings how they don't like my art, how they don't like my style. I usually shadow ban people, because I don't need this criticism in my life. I already have my mother. Thank you very much. So this is how I decided to focus more on original things. So because if I'm to spend so much time on something, I rather spend on something that is mine than that belongs to someone else.
That's definitely true. And I know that's a difficulty for me as well, because there are always people who are like, I'll read whatever you write, but I wish you would write more Dramini, or I wish you would do more of what they're coming to me for. And so it's this weird feeling of guilt that's like, I want to give you what you want, but it's not giving me anything back sometimes, you know, like part of the process of creating art is that it makes us feel as creators like we've put something meaningful into the world. And, you know, after years and years of creating fan work, we have our own imaginations that we want to put on the page or, you know, into art. And yeah, so.
And as you said in the podcast, when you create something for a fandom, it's kind of restricted by this template that it should have a happy end.
Yeah.
They should end up together. So there's some certain amount of predictability you are set for when you create something for fandom. And like when I read your writing, your original writing, I feel like I'm taking for an adventure and I never know what will happen. And I'm shipping those two characters and then I'm like, oh no, because they won't end up together.
Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah, and there's not, you know, and there's not that freedom to change your mind or to try new things sometimes. And yeah, and I don't know. I know things were really contentious, I think, in the Reylo fandom for a while, weren't they?
You don't say.
I kind of steered clear of that, so.
Well, when it comes to Star Wars fandom, it's a very big fandom, and everyone has their own idea how it should be portrayed or how certain characters should be seen or developed. As we have seen with the last episode of the current trilogy, people are so split. There was this dichotomy in Reylo fandom. Some people were so pleased, some people were not, and when they were not, they were really loud about it. And it's not a safe space to create.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's something I feel like that is really important, the safe space to create. And I think that's back to what you were saying about, you know, unsolicited criticism. It takes away the safety of creating great work. And, you know, when you feel like people are watching and judging, it's harder to create, to grow.
And I really hope people would be more interested in original stuff people create. Like, I follow people on Instagram who are standalone artists, and I really like their the things they create, their imagination, the way they perceive the world, and I find it very intriguing. However, I notice that people like fandoms because they are safe for them, because there is this predictability, and they are not as brave as to go somewhere that is uncertain. But I wish people do that.
Yeah, because the results are amazing, like with Clara and with Alpha. So that's my very that's my very subtle.
So subtle.
Yeah, so subtle. So we talked a little bit about collaborating and how, you know, we have worked together for a long time now. We've done a lot of original stuff together. Some stuff that never even, like I was just looking at my files for the two, oh my God, Dead Serious. Do you remember that? The comic we were going to do with the two composers.
Yeah.
It was all just for the audience. So this whole comic series was based on a pun that Chmura made about these composers who are decomposing. So it's these two composer brothers who got in an argument. They got killed, like, you know, in the 1600s or something. They wake up in modern times and they're still arguing about whose opera is better. But they are not like, they're not back to life like vampires. They're back to life like zombies. Like, they're falling apart. The point is, we worked on a lot of kind of a wide variety of stuff. There's Alpha, that's like dystopian future. There's Clara, that's a little bit more dramatic. It's taking shape in a really cool way. And then, you know, this thing that was more humor. And so basically we worked together on a lot of stuff. And how do you think other creator teams could be as incredible and successful as we are?
Oh, so fabulous. Yeah. So I believe to have a successful team, as may I say that? I think it's important to respect each other, but I think what really works with us is that you're very patient with me, because I'm very excited to do everything, and I'm very always thrilled to set off on a journey and start a new project, because this type of exhilarating feeling is very, very nice, to be this type of uncertainty that is very intriguing. And I sometimes try to follow up and finish the project. And sometimes, especially when someone is unexperienced with certain stuff, like with Alpha, I have a certain difficulty with ending this project, because when I started it, I was not experienced as illustrator as I am now. So I decided on a certain style that is very hard to maintain, because it's very complicated, it's very painterly. So to finish each page takes a lot of time. And so it's very hard for me to finish it, because I'm kind of afraid to start working on that. Even though I have sketched out pages and layouts and so on, I have this anxiety to start it, because I know how much it drained me when I was making the first and the second installment. Mm-hmm. That's why I was so excited to work on Clara and the Devil, because I had this new project. I knew I can set up new rules and something that I knew I can handle. So going back to the main topic, so it's important in this collaboration is to know what are the abilities of both parties, and to be nice towards each other.
Yeah.
And respectful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps that I obviously have so much admiration for your work, and you genuinely enjoy my writing as well. And I think that's what our actual love of each other's work is, what makes it so that we can work on any project and we'll love it, because it's going to be your art and it's going to be my story, and those are just things that we love.
Absolutely agree. And I had this type of moment with my boyfriend, and I was reading your book, and I adore your writing, as everyone knows in the world, in my family. And sitting on the sofa, and my boyfriend came by, and I decided to read him a poem about the village witch.
Ah, yes!
This one.
I love that one.
And he looked at me and he said, "Ooh, Olivie really writes great. How?"
That story is my masterpiece, so that makes sense. Meanwhile, I'm always showing my husband, I'm like, look what she drew! Yeah, I think it's just the enthusiasm that we have for each other is like the number one thing that if I were to recommend collaborating on a project, I mean, in the way that we collaborate, which is not really about money or success. We wish it would be about money, but it's not.
Oh, the success. Hey, Netflix, how about you send us some money?
I know, we would do such a good job though. Like, why hasn't Netflix asked us?
Or other strange teenage drama romance thingies.
But yeah, so
second letter, the boys I love, the blah 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 blah. Who needed a sequel to that story? What was that?
I don't know. Why haven't they come to us about our decomposing composers?
Yeah, absolutely. How about decomposing composers? Better than vampires, okay?
It's highbrow and lowbrow. It's perfect.
It's for everyone, for family and not really.
Well, actually, this actually works, because the next question is, someone was asking me about how to make a living writing. And obviously, both of us, we're both artists. What we are contributing to the world is art. And some people don't feel like they should pay for art. So... So do you have any advice for anyone who wants to make a career in art, or if they really want to make a living doing something that doesn't necessarily get a salary? I mean, unfortunately, I feel like don't quit your day job is kind of an important rule.
Yeah, that's for sure, because I think the most important thing is to be patient and to be a bit humble about yourself, because even though you may create things, there's so much content created daily for the internet. You're basically swimming in the pool of other people creations, and for other people to be interested in you is very a lucky strike, basically. So I would recommend for people who are interested in visual arts like illustration, animation, and media art, basically, to develop yourself as an artist and focus on that. But if you want to get more exposure, don't go for these people who will pay you in exposure, because it's never the case. People who have money and have abilities to give you exposure will pay you because they're famous enough, so they have budget for you to for them to pay you. So don't believe in exposure payment. So that's the first, I guess, or the second advice. And,
it's good. It's important.
Yeah, and if you want to really do something for exposure, go into communities and join people who share your hobbies or interests. And for me, it was, for example, Harry Potter and Star Wars fandoms. And via these channels, I got more or less popular, and it gave me the opportunity to do commissions that gave me money. And also, it's important. It's a piece of advice I got from Bobby Chu. He's a very established artist, and you can find him on YouTube. And he did a video on that topic, that regardless of who commissions you and regardless of the project, always put 100% of yourself. So it always represents you as a creator. So don't slack off. Always put your best foot forward. So I did a commission 3 years ago, I think it was. It was I believe, Tom Riddle, and someone from SparkNotes noticed that commission, and I was employed for a year and a half by SparkNotes to do illustrations. So
they're super good.
So,
to the audience, if you've never seen them, you should look them up. They're great.
So my biggest advice is to always create the things you are proud of, and always try your best. And with a little bit of luck, you will get spotted by someone who will give you opportunities. Like right now, I'm working for a marketing company, and I was spotted via fandom as well. And now I'm working in advertisement as an animator. So it's nice as well.
Yeah, definitely. It is a combination of finding the right audience at the right time. So that is patience, I think, that would be my thing as well. What about any business sort of skills? And because you're basically running your own business as an artist, right? As a writer, as a self-published author, for sure. You are your own marketing machine. And you do this actually, I think, quite well.
So I think it's important to don't underprice yourself, don't underestimate your skill, because learning drawing or animating on other art, like even music or writing, any other form of art, requires skill. So it took you a lot of time to develop those skills. So what I usually do is I think how much time I think would take. And I think, oh, it will take only 4 hours. I double that time because it usually takes double that time. It's never 4 hours.
That's good. That's important. Yeah.
And then I apply my hourly wage. And this is how I price my things usually. It's important to not underestimate how much time the project will take, because people don't really like to pay extra. They rather know from the beginning how much they would like to pay. And be really confident about it, because you deserve money for your art. And don't be like, oh, it's art, only hobby, I just do it in my free time. No. I don't allow it.
No, that's true. I talk to so many people who are like, oh yeah, I'm a writer, but not really. And it's like, do you write? You're a writer. The end.
Yeah. And when you say things like that, you actually make other artists harder. For them, this work is harder because they have to convince people that it's not a hobby, it's a real job. It takes time. It's not something you do in between of things. So when you say, oh, it's just a hobby, I will take just this and that amount of money because it's just extra money, I don't really need it. It makes it harder for people who actually need money from the art to then request the sum of money that should be paid for the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you devalue yourself, you devalue the craft. So.
Exactly. Listen, kids.
Well, now that you've learned something important. So the last question is, what inspires you, just in general, and then also what's inspiring your current style, would you say? Like, you've really, really evolved. I've always loved your color palette, but I think that you can, I mean, in the same way you've said that my writing has changed over time, your art has really changed over time. And what do you think has, like, where are you at now? Like, what do you think is inspiring you now? What inspired you before? How did you get here? Explain your whole career.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's an easy question. Let's go. Well, currently, I'm very much inspired by Denis Saraz. He's a Ukrainian artist, and he creates a very naturalistic paintings and drawings in which he portrays people, but he is very particular about, at the same time, portraying reality, but it's kind of a rotten reality. So it has even more intrigue in that, because it's not that beautified picture we usually see in media. It's more of this kind of dirty look, and I really like that. So also from American scene, I really like Malcolm Tildika. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Yeah, and he's an American painter, and he usually paints people in very mundane activities, and I think it's something that should be more often portrayed, because in the media it's always this glorified picture, and we always see things that are very beautified and enhanced in this kind of pristine manner. And when you see covers on the magazines, it's always this very sterile look.
Sterile, yeah.
Sterile.
That might be an accent thing. I don't know.
In Polish, it would be sterilne.
Perfect. Use that.
He portrays those people in cafeterias and in type of very intimate emotions, and I really like how he captures those feelings. So when I draw my thingies, I try to somehow emulate this type of feeling that is not exactly to capture prettiness, because I do not aim to have some things only to appear pretty. It's either beauty or darkness. Sometimes sadness can be very evoking, this kind of elevated feeling that you find, like, even though it's sad, it's gorgeous in that sadness, and that's what inspires me.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that so much. I feel kind of the same way. I think for me, part of writing things that are a little bit absurd is a way of reflecting how the world is a little bit absurd, that being human is a little bit weird. And yeah, the ugly things are the beautiful things, and the beautiful things are just convention. So yeah, so I love that. And how are you getting through this quarantine time? Are you isolated at home, or?
Well, I'm living in my very, very, very small apartment. Imagine that apartment, this is what I have. It's very small. Well, the first 2 weeks were difficult because I actually have planned a trip to my brother to Japan. So to then cancel all those plans, it was kind of heartbreaking, because I was waiting for over a year to actually do that.
Oh.
Right now, I got used to it. In Poland, I think we're going for a 42nd day of quarantine, and it's very harsh. We can't go outside, and if you go outside, you have to only go if you have to go shopping for the things that you really need.
Necessities, yeah.
Necessities. So yeah, and even today I had to go outside for groceries, and policemen were talking to me through megaphone. Attention, attention, please go back home. Them in Poland, go back home. And I was like, I'm just for a minute.
Yeah, so that's
here, like Mad Max type of mask on my face, full black because always I wear black. So I'm living my steampunk fantasy.
That's true. You know, I feel like a lot of the inspiration I've been getting has been steampunk related, and I think it's because of the times.
It's kind of apocalyptic, but in a fancy way.
But yeah, so, I mean, what are you doing to cope with that? Is there anything that you're...
So, I recently started playing multiplayer online games with my friends to cope with the fact that we don't see each other.
Oh, that's actually a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are playing Heroes of the Storm, and we're really not good at this game at all. It's always like, where are you? I'm like, no, I'm lost. Oh my god, where are you? I'm under the tree. And the whole place is full of trees, so you never know where your friends are. And I think it's very refreshing because it's finally a thing that you can sightsee with your friends and new things that were created by game developers. The worlds that you can actually experience without a mask. Yeah.
Beautiful. Perfect.
I recommend playing multiplayer online games. If someone has a lot of time, I highly recommend Final Fantasy XIV. It's a wonderful game, but only
wow.
You have to be on retirement or unemployed to play that game because it's so time consuming.
But like all of us are quarantine artists now. We have all the time in the world.
So basically, I think you got a message from someone and asked about how to maintain friendship during quarantine.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, so I would recommend someone, this person, to actually be genuinely interested in your friend's life. It's what they do daily. And for example, I have a friend from Great Britain who daily sends me pictures of her cats. And that brightens my day because I don't have a cat, but I love cats. I love everything about cats. I want to hug all of them, but I can't. So basically, my advice is to be genuinely interested in your friends, and hopefully they will be interested in you. And if you discover that they are not, it means that you maintained an empty shell that pretended to be a friendship, and that's not good.
That was so true and so dark at the same time. Sorry about your empty shell. No, but you're right, and I think that's actually the advice I would give if you want to be some sort of artist, writer, collaboration as well, is to be genuinely, I mean, just to enjoy your life in general. My advice is probably to do something you genuinely care about and not do things that you don't care about.
Yeah, that's very true.
But specifically when it comes to friendships, even working relationships, to actually care about the other person is like super high on the list.
Don't be passive, be active. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we got through everything that I wanted to discuss today. Do you want to take a second to think if there's anything else you wanted to add?
I have one more thing.
Okay.
I feel like I'm talking way too much, but
no, you're not. It's perfect. They listen to me every week, and all I do is rant.
If you want to give a critique of someone's work as someone who does not create things, first of all, don't. But no, I'm joking. But
kind of, yeah, don't.
So basically, I think it's important when you give someone a critique or you want to give your opinion about something another person created. It's important to have in mind to think what the artist had in mind when they were creating a piece. What was the goal for them? If they wanted to capture just a simple drawing or just wanted to go for a Disney style. When someone wants a Disney art style in their illustration, don't give them advice about lighting and in-depth theory of color and painterly effects. It's not that. So be nice towards artists, because when you give critique people who create things, it's actually very discouraging. And if you want people to create more, be nice towards them and be encouraging. Be like, oh yeah, that's nice, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, last week I was talking about how to motivate people. And always, if you want more from people, is to give them good things, is to reward the things they've done well. No one thrives with criticism. Yes, sometimes maybe their work might improve, but they have to be open to that criticism, which I don't think people are doing just by putting their stuff out into the world.
I absolutely agree with that. I actually once asked an artist I follow on Instagram to give a critique of my work, And she refused because she told me that she believes to give someone a review of their art requires amount of skill that she does not possess, and she does not want to influence my art style or my idea of what art is. I think it's a very respectable,
yeah, both respectful and respectable. And I think that that's actually great also, is that, you know, your view of art is your view of the world. And that is why when you are criticizing someone's creation, you are criticizing them in a way, because they're in that work. So
exactly.
Remembering that the other person is a person is always good advice.
Yeah, because it's an equivalent to coming up to a person on the street and saying to them, "I don't like your shoes," and then going away. Like, what is that behavior? No, don't do that. No. Be nice.
Yeah, and it's not, niceness, yes, but also just be compassionate. You wouldn't want someone to say something horrifying about something that matters to you that they can't see just by looking. So.
Just one more thing.
Yes.
Okay, so it's an advice for artists how to actually. You can't always shelter yourself from criticism, because then you stagnate and don't enhance your skill. You don't become better, and it's important to be better and better. Don't be lazy. Yeah, and I think what is important is to not listen to everyone who tells you just nasty things, but also don't believe people who praise you way too much, because it also makes you lazy. You have to disregard the top and the bottom and accept the mediocre.
Yeah.
And what I believe in is you have to have designated people who have in their hearts what they want the best for you, and have only those people give you honest opinions, because you know they don't insult you giving you a review, and they will give you honest opinions with at the same time respecting you as a person and your goal.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And also, in terms of how you view your work too, is people might have criticism for one individual piece, but you are your entire body of work. So to not get like bogged down by someone hating one thing, and to just remember that that's part of your journey on your craft.
Absolutely, yes.
Do you want to cheers? Let's cheers.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Na zdrowie.
What was that? Wait, say it again.
Na zdrowie.
Na zdrowie. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. I love talking to you, but obviously I have kept your relationship, you know, this is something I value so much, and now I'm sharing it with everybody else because I'm such a generous person. But thank you so much for joining us. I will leave all of your social media and all of that in the info for this post. But yeah.
Be brave and be open to collaborating with other people, because you will never know what amazing individuals you can meet and what incredible things you can create.
That's perfect. We're going to go before I make it worse.